Captain Ilara Chen stood motionless before the main view screen, her face illuminated by the ghostly projection of an alien entity. The creature's iridescent scales caught the light as it tilted its elongated head, vertical pupils narrowing against the brightness of the transmission. Your species has 2 standard cycles to accept protection under the Dominion or face appropriate corrective measures, the Vraxian envoy stated, its translator rendering the clicks and hisses into flat, emotionless English. Ilara maintained a carefully neutral expression, betraying none of the calculations racing through her mind. Her orbital defense platform, ostensibly Earth's first line of protection, was in reality just one visible element of a much larger strategy. The Earth United Nations will need time to convene, she replied, allowing a slight tremor into her voice. Our governing body is complicated. Many nations must reach consensus. The alien's mouthparts shifted in what intelligence suggested was a gesture of contempt. Inefficient. We expected as much from a species still engaging in tribal disputes. Behind Ilara, Lieutenant Santos quietly activated the quantum entanglement communicator, sending the predetermined alert code to the Earth Security Council. * Prometheus Protocol, initiated *. Perhaps I could assist by explaining your terms to our leaders, Ilara offered, leaning forward with calculated eagerness. Many will be frightened by your appearance. If I could help them understand the benefits of Vraxian protection. The massive ship hanging in lunar orbit, its bizarre geometry, defying human architectural logic, remained a silent threat as the envoy considered her proposal. You may relay our terms. The Vraxian Dominion offers technological advancement, interstellar trade access, and security. In exchange, Earth will provide resources, military conscripts, and colonial territory rights. Colonial territory rights? Ilara asked, deliberately playing the role of a confused subordinate. Portions of your habitable land will be designated for Vraxian settlement. This is standard procedure and non-negotiable. Ilara nodded with apparent resignation. I understand. May I ask how many other species have joined your dominion? 17 star systems currently enjoy our protection, the envoy stated with unmistakable pride. Many were once as primitive as Earth. And those who declined your generous offer. The envoy's scales rippled in what human xenologists had identified as amusement. None have declined permanently. 500 meters beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Hikaru Tanaka received Ilara's transmission in the submerged command center. Around him, representatives from formerly antagonistic nations watched in silence as the conversation unfolded exactly as predicted. They're following the standard first contact protocol, General Okafor commented, just as the Arcturian intelligence indicated. Admiral Tanaka nodded, his weathered face grim. Begin dispersal of military assets according to slingshot parameters. Activate the Deep Space Monitoring Network. And send the signal to Dr. Reynolds. In the Antarctic Research Facility, designated Deep Forge, Marcus Reynolds looked up from his tablet as the alert pulsed softly. After 15 years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. He gazed across the cavernous underground hangar where engineers swarmed over spacecraft, unlike anything publicly known to exist on Earth. They'd finally come, he announced to his team. Operation Slingshot is now active. On the view screen above him, Captain Chen continued her performance, her every word and gesture calculated to present humanity as a fractious, primitive species worthy only of the Vraxians' contempt rather than their caution. Dr. Marcus Reynolds pressed his palm against the scanner, and massive blast doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. The delegation from the Security Council followed him into a chamber known to fewer than 200 humans. Gentlemen, ladies, he said, gesturing to the artifacts suspended in a containment field. This is what crashed in the Atacama 15 years ago. A Vraxian scout ship that suffered catastrophic drive failure. The mangled alien craft hung in eerie blue light, its hull displaying the same unsettling non-Euclidean geometry as the vessel now orbiting Earth. The pilot died on impact, but the data core remained intact, Reynolds continued, leading them to a workstation where holographic schematics rotated slowly. Everything we know about Vraxian technology, biology, and psychology comes from this wreckage. Everything they don't know that we know. General Amara Okafor stepped forward, her military uniform adorned with insignia from 5 formerly separate nations. And you're certain they have no record of losing this vessel? The scout was operating beyond authorized Dominion territory, Reynolds replied. Our Arcturian informants confirmed the mission was classified. The Vraxians listed it as lost in a stellar anomaly. On the far side of the chamber, engineers worked on what appeared to be a hybrid of human and alien technology. Sleek vessels with familiar lines, but impossible propulsion systems. How many ships in our hidden fleet? Asked Counselor Zhao, her eyes tracking a nearby technician calibrating a weapon system. 127 combat-ready vessels, distributed throughout the solar system, Reynolds answered. Plus the defensive platforms disguised as communication satellites, asteroid mining operations, and deep space research stations. A proximity alert chimed softly. Reynolds checked his tablet and nodded to the group. The Vraxian assessment team has landed in Geneva. They're beginning their formal evaluation of Earth's military capabilities. In a conference room designed to appear hastily repurposed for alien visitors, Sub-Commander Thex Alar surveyed Earth's apparent military leadership with thinly veiled disdain. The humans had arranged a display of their weapons technology that seemed calculated to impress, but succeeded only in confirming Vraxian superiority. These are your most advanced combat aircraft? Thex Alar asked, examining the specifications of a stealth fighter with visible disappointment. General Williams, specifically chosen for this role because of his convincing bluster, puffed out his chest. The best in our arsenal, ma'am. Sir, Bah, honored one. Mach 3.2 top speed, radar evading technology, precision munitions. The Vraxian made a dismissive gesture. Our atmospheric crafts achieve Mach 15 and can operate in vacuum. Your technology is quaint. Williams appeared crestfallen, but his microtransmitter was already relaying every detail of the Vraxians' reactions to analysts in a bunker 2 kilometers below. Thex Alar moved to a display of Earth's space defense systems, carefully edited to show only the publicly acknowledged platforms. And these are your orbital defenses, primitive kinetic weapons and nuclear devices. It's all we've managed to develop, Williams admitted with calculated shame. Our nations struggle to agree on weapons placement. Budget constraints, you understand. The alien scales rippled in amusement. The Dominion will bring order to your chaos. As the assessment team continued their tour of carefully staged military installations around the globe, Admiral Tanaka received their reports in his underwater command center. Beside him, Chair Mendoza of the Security Council watched the Vraxian reactions with quiet satisfaction. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see, Tanaka noted. Disorganization, inferior technology, inter-service rivalries. Mendoza nodded. And meanwhile, Operation Slingshot proceeds on schedule. The evacuation of civilian population centers has reached 60%. The Moon and Mars bases report full combat readiness. They think they're evaluating us, Tanaka said softly. But we've been studying them for 15 years. In warfare, perfect intelligence is worth more than any weapon. The broadcast signal originated from Beijing, where representatives from the African Union stormed out of emergency talks with visible anger. Minutes later, Moscow issued a statement condemning European overreach in defense preparations. From Washington came threats about resource allocation and accusations of military positioning in violation of long-standing treaties. Sub-Commander Thex Alar watched these transmissions from her ship, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Predictable, she noted to her cultural assessment team. Species that evolve on single planets often fail to outgrow their territorial instincts. Even facing extinction, they squabble over imaginary boundaries. Her subordinate, analyzing social media traffic, reported increasing civilian panic. Public unrest growing in all major population centers, Commander. Their leadership appears unable to maintain order or present a unified response to our ultimatum. Thexelar composed her report to the fleet. Recommendation: accelerate invasion timeline. Earth's fragmented power structure presents minimal organized resistance capability. Conventional subjugation protocols will be sufficient. What the Vraxians couldn't detect was the encrypted quantum signature embedded within the public broadcasts. Earth's carefully orchestrated political theater served a dual purpose: convincing the aliens of human disunity while simultaneously transmitting operational commands to military and civilian authorities worldwide. 3 kilometers beneath the streets of New York, the largest civilian evacuation in human history proceeded with remarkable efficiency. High-speed rail systems, built during the climate crisis decades earlier but secretly expanded for this contingency, carried thousands of people per hour to underground arcologies designed to shelter billions. Transit Group 7, proceed to Blue Section loading platforms, announced a calm voice as families moved through the massive subterranean concourse. Please maintain orderly progress and follow guide personnel. Maya Patel, age 6, clutched her stuffed rabbit as her parents guided her through the crowd. "Are the aliens going to find us here?" she asked. Her father knelt beside her. "No, sweetheart. They don't even know this place exists. That's why we've kept it secret for so long." In similar facilities around the world, humanity executed the most elaborate disappearing act in history. Surface populations thinned while maintaining just enough visible activity to prevent Vraxian suspicion. On the far side of the moon, in a facility masked by quantum distortion fields, Captain Ilara Chen reunited with her squadron after her performance on the defense platform. The pilots of Ghost Wing stood at attention before their hybrid fighters, sleek craft incorporating both human innovation and reverse-engineered Vraxian technology. At East, Chen said, surveying the 24 men and women she personally selected, "The Vraxians have taken the bait. They've analyzed our apparent capabilities and found us wanting." She activated a holographic display showing the positions of Vraxian ships throughout the solar system. They've committed 60% of their invasion force to low Earth orbit. The remainder are positioned to prevent escape, assuming our ships can only travel at the speeds we've allowed them to detect. Lieutenant Kagawa raised her hand. "Captain, what about civilian evacuations?" 83% complete, Chen replied. "The surface population is now primarily military personnel in disguise and volunteers maintaining the illusion of normal planetary activity." She touched her console, bringing up a new display showing hundreds of stealth platforms positioned throughout Earth orbit. In 48 hours, Operation Slingshot enters its final phase. The Vraxians believe they've given us an ultimatum. In reality, we've been setting the timetable all along. Her expression hardened as she looked at each pilot in turn. They came expecting to find primitive monkeys playing with rockets. Instead, they'll discover they've stumbled into a carefully laid trap. Humanity doesn't just adapt. We anticipate. Dismissed. Commander Vexerden stood on the command deck of the inevitable Conquest, watching Earth grow larger in the main view screen. The blue-green planet rotated serenely, seemingly unaware of its impending subjugation. "Status of Earth's defensive systems?" he inquired. His tactical officer consulted her display. "Minimal activity, Commander. Their orbital platforms are maintaining standard patrol patterns. Ground-based missile systems appear to be on normal alert status. No indication they're preparing for resistance." Vexerden's mandibles clicked in amusement. "And their governments?" "Still in disarray," the communications officer reported. "The Chinese delegation has refused to attend the final emergency session. European Union representatives are demanding preferential treatment in surrender terms. The Americans are threatening independent action. Typical behavior for pre-unity species," Vexerden noted with satisfaction. "Prepare the landing forces, standard occupation protocol." Across Earth, news broadcasts showed panicked stock markets, political recriminations, and civilian demonstrations against ineffective leadership. Hidden beneath these manufactured crises, The final preparations for Operation Slingshot reached completion. In Geneva, the Earth Security Council convened for what the Vraxians believed was an emergency session to draft surrender terms. In reality, they were coordinating the most elaborate military counterattack in human history. All population centers report evacuation complete, General Okafor announced. Remaining surface presence consists of military personnel and volunteer civilian actors maintaining the illusion of normal activity. Admiral Tanaka nodded. And the Vraxian landing zones? Prepared according to specifications, Okafor replied. Neural disruptors embedded at all designated sites. Quantum entanglement nodes positioned to capture their communication protocols upon activation. Chair Mendoza surveyed the assembled representatives of humanity. The moment approaches when we must commit fully to our course. Once initiated, there can be no retreat, no negotiation. The Vraxians must believe our surrender is genuine until the trap is fully sprung. In Washington, D.C., a delegation of Earth military leaders prepared to greet the Vraxian occupation force. General Harris, specially trained for this role, rehearsed his lines once more. Welcome to Earth. The President has authorized me to facilitate your peaceful occupation of North American territories. He practiced, his expression appropriately defeated while his mind reviewed the timing of the neural disruptor activation sequence. The Vraxian landing ships descended through Earth's atmosphere with casual confidence. Their scans detected no unusual energy signatures, no hidden weapons platforms, no signs of the trap waiting to be sprung. In Moscow's Red Square, in Beijing's Forbidden City, in London, Delhi, Johannesburg, and every major city around the globe, similar landing operations commenced simultaneously. The Vraxians deployed with mechanical efficiency, establishing command posts and securing strategic locations with the practiced precision of a species that had conquered 17 worlds before this one. At each site, human officials presented formal surrenders with appropriate ceremonies. Military leaders handed over access codes to defense systems, communications networks, and infrastructure controls, all carefully designed to appear genuine while containing hidden protocols. From her underwater command center, Chair Mendoza watched the occupation unfold exactly as predicted. The spider spins no web more perfect than patience, she murmured, an ancient proverb from her childhood that seemed particularly apt. Admiral Tanaka checked the final deployment status. All Vraxian forces are now committed to surface positions or low orbit. Their command ship maintains position at lunar distance. The web is complete. Mendoza nodded solemnly. Then we begin in 24 hours. May our ancestors forgive the deception, and our descendants understand the necessity. Sub-Commander Thexalar frowned at her cultural assessment screens. 3 days into occupation, the data patterns disturbed her. Civilian behavior showed none of the expected responses. No widespread panic, no resistance cells forming in predictable patterns, no desperate attempts at communication with occupation forces. Something is wrong, she muttered, mandibles clicking in agitation. Review historical conquest data. Compare civilian response patterns with previous acquisitions. Her analyst brought up holographic comparisons. Anomalies detected, Commander. Earth population centers show 64% lower density than initial scans indicated. Behavioral compliance exceeds predicted models by significant margins. Before Thexalar could investigate further, her neural link to the Vraxian command network stuttered. For a microsecond, she felt disconnection, something impossible with their technology. Then alarms blared throughout the ship. In Geneva, General Okafor stood before the assembled Security Council. All Vraxian forces are in position. Neural disruptors are active and synchronized. Operation Slingshot is green across all parameters. Chair Mendoza nodded once. Execute. Admiral Tanaka pressed his palm against the activation crystal. May our ancestors guide our aim, he said softly, completing the ancient warrior's prayer. Across Earth, at precisely the same moment, the trap 3 decades in preparation finally sprung. In Washington, D.C., General Harris stood before the Vraxian occupation commander, his expression transforming from subservience to cold determination. "You should have studied us more carefully," he said, pressing a concealed trigger in his ceremonial surrender medal. The neural disruptors activated simultaneously worldwide, sending precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses through Vraxian command systems. The aliens, dependent on their neural networks, clutched their cranial ridges in agony as connection to their hive intelligence faltered. In orbit, Captain Chen watched her tactical display as Earth's disguised defense platforms shed their camouflage. Weapon systems that had appeared dormant came online with devastating efficiency, targeting Vraxian ships with precision strikes to engines and command centers. Disabling rather than destroying. "Ghost Wing, execute Thunderbolt protocol," she ordered calmly. Her squadron of hybrid fighters launched from their lunar hiding place, their quantum drives allowing them to appear instantaneously amid the Vraxian fleet. Each fighter targeted a specific vessel with specialized weaponry, designed to penetrate Vraxian shields at their resonance frequency. Information gleaned from years studying the crashed scout ship. On Earth's surface, the supposedly surrendered human military revealed weapons systems the Vraxians had never detected. From underground bunkers, mountain hideaways, and oceanic depths emerged forces specifically trained and equipped for this moment. Commander Vexerden staggered on his command deck as ship systems failed around him. "What is happening?" he demanded, his translator struggling to function through the electromagnetic interference. His tactical officer fought for composure. "Simultaneous attacks across all occupation zones, Commander. Our neural networks are experiencing cascading failures. Ground forces report human resistance with weapons matching our own technology." "Impossible," Vexerden snarled. "They're a pre-spacefaring civilization." His view screen activated without command input. Chair Mendoza's face appeared, her expression not of triumph but of grim determination. "Commander Vexerden," she said, speaking flawless Vraxian without translation assistance, "your species has made a critical error in judgment. You assumed that because we confined ourselves to one planet, we lacked the capability to leave it. You mistook patience for weakness, preparation for primitive restraint." Her eyes held his with unflinching intensity. "The truth is simpler. Humans don't just adapt. We anticipate. Your arrival wasn't a surprise. It was an appointment we've been preparing for since before you knew we existed." Commander Vexerden fought to regain control of his flagship as systems failed around him. Emergency lighting bathed the command deck in crimson, while officers frantically bypassed neural interfaces for manual operation, a contingency so rarely needed that many struggled to remember the protocols. "Status report," he demanded, his translator sputtering with electromagnetic interference. 37% of fleet vessels reporting critical systems failure. His tactical officer managed. "Ground forces are in disarray. Human attacks employing impossible technologies." The main view screen flickered to life, showing battles unfolding across Earth. Vraxian ground forces found themselves fighting enemies that seemed to materialize from nowhere, wielding weapons that perfectly countered Vraxian armor and tactical formations. "How?" Vexerden whispered. "How could they have this level of technology?" In his underground laboratory, Dr. Reynolds monitored the quantum virus as it propagated through the Vraxian network. The elegant code, developed from captured alien algorithms, but enhanced with uniquely human approaches to mathematics, didn't destroy their systems. It subtly altered them, creating cascading errors in navigational data and targeting parameters. "Quantum infection at 82%, his assistant reported. "Their fleet is firing on phantom targets, and in 3 confirmed instances on their own vessels." Reynolds nodded. "Initiate Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, objects the Vraxians had dismissed as space debris suddenly activated. Hundreds of small satellites, positioned over decades in seemingly random orbits, synchronized their electromagnetic pulse generators. The carefully calibrated wavelengths targeted specific vulnerabilities in Vraxian technology, while leaving human systems unaffected. In Earth orbit, Captain Chen watched as the alien vessels lost propulsion and weapon capabilities in rapid succession. Her Ghost Wing pilots executed perfect attack runs against the larger ships, targeting communication arrays with surgical precision. All wings maintained discipline, she ordered as her fighter banked sharply through the debris field. Disable, don't destroy. Remember the protocol. The Vraxian training prepared them for conventional warfare against predictable species. Nothing in their military doctrine addressed an enemy that had studied them undetected for years and developed specific countermeasures for every aspect of their technology. Admiral Tanaka directed the Earth counteroffensive from his underwater command center, holographic displays showing the battle unfolding across the planet and throughout near-Earth space. The Vraxian resistance was crumbling faster than even their most optimistic projections had anticipated. Launch the orbital platforms, he ordered. Full defensive grid activation. Around Earth, hundreds of satellites that had appeared to be weather or communication stations transformed, deploying advanced weapon systems reverse-engineered from Vraxian technology, but enhanced with human innovation. On his crippled flagship, Commander Vexerdan received an emergency transmission from the Vraxian homeworld. Supreme Commander Zex Calter's face appeared, scales pale with fury. Explain this catastrophic failure, Commander, the Supreme Commander demanded. They were prepared for us, Vexerdan replied, mandibles clicking in agitation. Somehow they knew our technology, our tactics. They've developed countermeasures we've never encountered. Impossible. Their intelligence classification confirmed primitive development. The intelligence was wrong, Vexerdan hissed. They've been studying us, Supreme Commander. I believe they've had access to our technology for years. They hid their true capabilities behind a facade of disunity and technological backwardness. The Supreme Commander's eyes narrowed. Hold position. The battle group Inevitable Dominance has been dispatched to your location. I will personally oversee the correction of this anomaly. As the transmission ended, Vexerdan stared at the battle unfolding around his crippled vessel. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something alien to Vraxian psychology, doubt. Supreme Commander Zex Calter's massive dreadnought, Inevitable Dominance, emerged from hyperspace amid the chaos of battle. Twice the size of any vessel in the invasion fleet, its appearance had ended conflicts on a dozen worlds through intimidation alone. Report, Zex Calter demanded, his expansive command deck staffed by the Dominion's elite. His tactical officers surveyed the disaster unfolding around them. Invasion fleet at 30% operational capacity. Supreme Commander. Ground forces have lost cohesion. The humans have deployed technology that shouldn't be possible for their development stage. Open direct communication with Earth's leadership, Zex Calter ordered. I will resolve this aberration personally. In the underwater command center, Admiral Tanaka received the communication request. They're following the standard escalation protocol, he noted to Chair Mendoza. The Supreme Commander seeks to intimidate through direct engagement. Mendoza straightened her simple gray uniform. Then let's not keep him waiting. When the connection established, Zex Calter found himself facing not a single frightened leader, but Earth's entire Security Council. His compound eyes fixed on Mendoza, identifying her as the primary authority. I am Supreme Commander Zex Calter of the Vraxian Dominion, he began, his translator rendering his clicks and hisses into precise English. This resistance, while impressive, is ultimately futile. Cease hostilities immediately and surrender your leadership for processing. In return, I will ensure your population receives humane treatment during transition to Dominion authority. Mendoza's lips curved in a slight smile. Supreme Commander, we've been anticipating this conversation for decades. Perhaps you'd be interested in knowing exactly how long we've been aware of your Dominion. Without waiting for response, she activated a holographic display. The projection showed dozens of human outposts beyond the solar system, established systematically over 60 years. Surveillance footage displayed Vraxian worlds, military installations, and fleet movements. Internal data no outsider should possess. Impossible, Zex Coulter whispered, scales paling. We detected your long-range probe in 2183, 72 years ago, Mendoza continued. Instead of announcing ourselves, we chose to study you. The species you conquered, the Arcturians, the Nexili, the Zorit. They've been our allies, feeding you misinformation while helping us prepare. Another holographic display activated, showing a massive human fleet waiting at strategic positions throughout Vraxian territory, vessels that had infiltrated the Dominion's borders undetected. Your intelligence failure was assuming that any spacefaring species would confine itself to its homeworld. Mendoza continued, her voice measured. Earth is our cradle, Commander, not our cage. We expanded quietly, patiently. We established colonies beyond your detection range. We study your technology, your tactics, your psychology. Dr. Reynolds stepped forward. Your mistake was predictability, Commander. 17 worlds conquered using the same approach, the same assessment protocols, the same ultimatum, the same invasion sequence. You never considered that the 18th world might be anticipating you. Zex Coulter's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. This deception changes nothing. The Dominion's resources vastly exceed your own. This battle may be lost, but the war. There will be no war, Admiral Tanaka interrupted, because you face a choice, the easy path or the hard path. Both end with the same result, the liberation of every world under Vraxian control. Mendoza leaned forward. Your oldest records speak of the precursors, the species that nearly destroyed your civilization before mysteriously disappearing. What those records don't tell you is why they disappeared. Her eyes held Zex Coulter's compound gaze. They encountered us. Supreme Commander Zex Coulter's compound eyes narrowed as he processed Mendoza's claim. The precursors, the near-mythical race that had almost eradicated Vraxian civilization 5 millennia ago before mysteriously vanishing, connected to these humans. A convenient fiction, he hissed, though uncertainty crept into his voice. The precursors were a spacefaring empire when your ancestors still huddled in caves. Time is relative in a universe of faster-than-light travel, Dr. Reynolds replied, especially when one understands wormhole manipulation at the quantum level. Zex Coulter's tactical officer interrupted with urgent news. Supreme Commander, we're detecting anomalous energy signatures throughout Vraxian space. Our long-range sensors show activity at outposts we believe secure. Admiral Tanaka nodded to a communications officer who activated a channel. Across the view screen appeared images of Vraxian military installations throughout the Dominion. At each location, previously hidden human agents revealed themselves, activating devices similar to the neural disruptors deployed on Earth. As we speak, Tanaka explained, every major military installation in Vraxian space is experiencing the same disruption as your invasion force. Your remaining fleets are being systematically disabled by operatives who have been in place for decades. The Supreme Commander's scales paled further as reports flooded in confirming this impossible claim. The choice is simple, Mendoza continued. Immediate withdrawal and recognition of Earth's sovereignty, plus the liberation of all subjugated species in the Dominion, or the complete dismantling of your civilization. When Zex Coulter remained silent, his mandibles frozen in shock, Dr. Reynolds approached the communication array with a small quantum device. This is technology you've never encountered, he said conversationally. A quantum entanglement cascade initiator. We discovered it by studying your own research archives, then taking them in directions your scientists never considered. With a simple gesture, he activated the device. Throughout Vraxian space, from the invasion fleet to distant home defense systems, weapon capability simultaneously failed as safety protocols overrode targeting systems. Chair Mendoza stood, her expression not triumphant but resolute. Supreme Commander Zex Coulter, Your arrogance has cost you an empire. The species you subjugated are rising against you as we speak, using tools and strategies we've provided over generations of quiet preparation. The communications display split to show rebellions erupting on a dozen Vraxian-controlled worlds. Species the Dominion had considered thoroughly pacified were revealing hidden arsenals and organized resistance movements. This was never about Earth alone, Mendoza continued. It was about creating a galactic community based on cooperation rather than conquest. A test humanity set for your species, one you have failed utterly. She nodded to a communications officer who initiated a broadcast to all Vraxian systems in their native dialects. Attention all citizens of the Vraxian Dominion. This is Chair Sophia Mendoza of Earth's Security Council. Your military forces have been neutralized. Your leadership has failed you. We offer not conquest, but liberation. Her gaze returned to Zexcalter's stunned face. Remember this lesson, Commander. Humanity does not begin fights, but we always finish them. You have chosen your doom through your own arrogance. As the remains of the once mighty Vraxian fleet retreated in disarray, Earth's final transmission echoed through the stars. The next time we meet, it will be in your home systems, not as conquerors, but as liberators. In the shadow of Earth's moon, Captain Chen watched the Vraxian ships limp away. Was it always going to end this way? She asked over a private channel to Admiral Tanaka. Perhaps not, the Admiral replied thoughtfully. If they had come in peace, they would have found friends, not tacticians. The choice was always theirs.